Hi, Phill here from Kingdom Convergence. Thanks for joining us today. I don't think you can tell, but I'm wearing my New York Jets jersey because it's Thursday, and Thursday is when I pray that maybe they'll play decently on Sunday. I don't expect them to win. I've learned that. God has taught me long suffering as a Jets fan, but today's the day I pray. So I got my Jets jersey on, my Jets shirt on, and I'm a New Yorker, so you'll have to get over it if you're not. But yeah, so I'm really excited about our guest today. But before I get into that, I just want to let you know a couple of things we have coming up that I want to share with you, and got some exciting stuff happening. First of all, in three or 4 weeks now, we have a regional prayer event. I'm going to put up the events that we have coming up. Let me just find that ticker. Here we go. So we have on January 8th, a night of worship and prayer for the New York City metro region. This is for half of New Jersey, downstate Connecticut, downstate New York, Long Island, and the 5 boroughs. We did this last year on Halloween. It was a powerful night. We'll have worshipers from the region. We'll have people that will be praying, leaders joining us to pray. We'll have a time at the end for declarations and proclamations over the region. It's really just worshiping God, crying out for his glory to pour out, but also interceding for the region. And we really need it. We live in a strategic region. If God pours out his glory here, if this breakthrough, it will impact not just our region, not just our nation, but it will impact the world. It really will. So that's on January 8th. On January 21st and 22nd, we have Sent with Authority Conference with my friend Danny Stain, who's the director of Mountains of Worship. He's amazing. He's a prolific author, songwriter. The guy's just crazy prophetic, crazy gifted, amazing leader. He's got, I don't even know how many Mountains of Worship he has in the nation right now. I know every region is covered. They're in 11 different nations. He carries an amazing gift of miraculous faith. Just a wonderful guy, a father. You're going to love him. That's Sent with Authority. And then in February, we have Prayer, Presence, Power with my friend Ed Logren. Ed died, had a conversation with Jesus while his wife was crying out for him to come back. It completely erratic. He was already a leader. He was already seeing signs and wonders in his ministry, but he came back with a mission and with a story and a message that is life-changing. And he sees crazy miracles. He's seen people without eyes get eyesight. Just an amazing guy, but a great teacher. He was a lawyer, a very successful lawyer who walked away from that to go into ministry full-time. Just an amazing guy. So that's February 18th and 19th. Go to kingdomconvergence.com and you can you'll get all the information. You can register there, and we look forward to seeing you soon. And also, it's time to register for our next trimester in Convergence School of Ministry. So you can register. There's several different ways. You can do the full Tuesday, Thursday nights. You can do just the biblical part. You can do the theology part. You can do just the thematic part. So there's lots of options for you. Obviously, we recommend that you do the full school, but we get it. People are busy. So there's something there for everybody. It's time for us to get stretched. It's time for us to grow in our knowledge of the word. And so much of what we've been taught is actually not even biblically solid. It's been taught out of traditions, not understanding real biblical theology and the praxis of that. How do we practically live that out? So we go into some really great stuff. We'll deconstruct and reconstruct, and it's fun, and we do family well, and you'll love it. So it's time to take a look at convergenceschoolofministry.com and check out what we have to offer. And we have guest speakers almost every month. We just had Joanne Moody 2 weeks ago and Mike Hutchings last week. So we bring in some great people. So check that out. So with no further ado, let me bring in my dear, dear friend, my sister, Aaron Horton. Hey, Aaron.
Hi.
How are you?
Oh my gosh, it's so good and so good to be here with you, Phill. I just love you so much.
Love you back. I still remember the first time we met in the restaurant in Manhattan,
Yes.
and you carried so much joy. I was like, this girl is either the best actress on the planet, or she's totally legit. And as I got to know you, I know you're totally 100% authentic.
Oh, thank you.
What you see is what you get. And of course, you came to both our Convergence East conferences. You
Yeah.
taught around creativity and
Yeah.
worship. So we're going to be launching, I was telling you off air that we're launching something called Inspired Creatives for the
So
region.
cool.
And I thought, who's better to talk about this stuff than my friend Aaron Horton?
Yay.
So welcome.
Thank you so much. I love what you guys are doing. I'm cheering you on. It was so awesome to be a part of those conferences, but also to be a part of the dream. I love that I got to walk through your space, lay my hands on those walls, pray with you guys, and see it ahead of time with you. See through eyes of faith to see where you're walking now and even where you're going. So I'm truly honored to be part of your story. So thank you.
Well, that's awesome. I appreciate that. And I just, you're a cherished friend. Although I have to say that I'm still working through the sorrow of you moving to Tennessee. And it's even harder for me because now I have friends that are moving to Tennessee. Joanne Moody's in Franklin now.
Oh, right
And
here, next to me. Yeah.
yeah. And so is Will Hart. So yeah.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, and I have other friends, Marcus and Alexius Young. So there's a part of me that wants to be there with you, but old orders are good orders,
It's kind of the cool place to be. I find out someone new is moving here, man, almost every few weeks. I'm kind of blown away.
Yeah,
But
there's some great people there. God's going to do something in Tennessee amazing, that's
totally.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to connect you with Joanne while she's there.
Please. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So do you know who Joanne is?
I don't know.
Joanne is the founder of Agape Freedom Fighters. How cool is that name?
Oh, yes.
And she's she's been mentored by Randy, and she just spoke at Voice of the Apostles. We had her in the week before Thanksgiving, and gosh, she blew the place up.
Cool.
She's a mama. She's got all these sons and daughters that she's equipping, travels with her.
Wow.
You two would just like hit it off totally.
That sounds awesome.
Totally. You guys would love each other.
That's so cool. Come on.
So at any rate, let's talk creativity.
Let's do it.
So I sent you some questions, and I'm going to just go back to them. Totally. So, I was saying that when people think of creativity, oftentimes they think of like music or art, right? Like painting, maybe drawing, sculpting. Think of the great artists of the Middle Ages, and then music, like the great, even going back. I mean, that's where music and art came together in the church, really, if you pay attention to history. And I think God's doing that again. I think there's something happening now around that. I do believe that we're in the beginning stages of a transition of Reformation.
Yeah.
And it's kind of the early stages. And I think there's people God's raising up, and it's going to look a lot different. And it's going to be lots of different cool expressions of community. Right. But the core will be Jesus is at the center, that we are going to be incarnational and missional, making him known in our everyday life and expanding the kingdom of God. So let's talk about that idea of creativity, innovation, and what that looks like as believers and as believing communities as we step into that. What are your thoughts?
Well, I would love to give just the listeners a little bit of a background on me.
Sure.
Kind of where I'm coming from. So as a child, I distinctly remember being next to my mom with either a paintbrush in one hand or a hammer in the other. And she was a studio artist. So Phill, I grew up hearing about composition and color and doing art. And my mom was one of those who wouldn't let me have coloring books. She just was like, here's a piece of paper, create. And was constantly just building. We were building furniture. So everything about my life was creative. And I was actually, I got scholarships to art school and was a very talented artist. My mom was always frustrated because I would get bored very easy. I would do something awesome and then not do it again. I would be like, I'm over that. And actually, I dropped out of art school to do music and theater and travel and do songwriting. And so I've always had this convergence of artistry in my life. But what's so funny is I'm not your typical creative. I'm very analytical. I'm very business. I like starting businesses. I started an interior design business in the midst of life. And so there's just been this high creative, but also I would come up, people would be like, well, I'm just not creative like you. I'm like, yes, you are. Like, I think so. I would run into people who thought that you had to be like me. It's this outward demonstration of creativity where I kind of in both sides. I can be the nerdy analytical over here where I'm thinking business and thinking strategy all the time. But it's all creative, right? And so that's a little bit of my background. If you saw my house today, I'm surrounded by my mother's artwork and my artwork. And so I think in that way, which has really brought me into my relationship with God, is a very interactive, creative, very like I've learned how to live a creative life with God, which is very fun.
Well, yeah, and you even left out the fact that you're an amazing vocalist, songwriter, worship leader. I mean,
Thank you.
you're crazy, crazy, crazy creative in so many ways. And you're also I'm gonna start prophesying over you, but you're also like just this spontaneously creative person because of your prophetic gifting. You get vision and you get just this inspiration. So again, while I was thinking about doing this, I was like, I have to have Aaron. Aaron's like perfect for this.
I love it. Thank you. I love talking about creativity, and I love pulling the greatness of creativity out of people. So this is
that's really good. So do you think everyone's born with a creative capacity? I mean, not necessarily the same creative capacity, but some measure of creative capacity. What do you think?
I 100% do. And I love getting in arguments with people who don't think that that's true. It's big fun. Do I think that we're all supposed to be singers? Listen, I've been around long enough where I would have people come up to me going, I know that I'm going to be the next big thing. And I'm like, oh, but you can't sing. Like, okay, like you want to go after people's dreams and help raise them up, but there also is an expectation associated to what you're qualified for, what you have studied to be, or what's even innately inside of you. But it's more than just, like you said earlier, it's more than just the painter, the singer. I think, Phill, if we are not recognizing and living aware of the creative nature of God inside of us, we are missing one of the biggest aspects of his nature and of his character, because everything about him is creating all the time. Yeah. And it's not us, it's not him up here and us here. Like, he chose me as his creative house. So I have a friend who's a designer. He works for Prada on Fifth Avenue. So you have these design houses. Well, I'm like, I am a design house with God. The ultimate creator chose me as his house. So of course I'm a creator. You're a creator. We all are.
Yeah, that's good. I never told you this, but I actually grew up in an artsy family as well. My mom was a designer of hats. So she designed hats, particularly like formal wedding stuff, that kind of thing.
Cool.
She went to school in the late 30s doing that, learning to do that. And everybody she knew, she made their wedding veil or whatever it was they wanted. She would design it and then make it for them. And my sister actually was a clothing designer. That's what she started out with. But my oldest brother is an absolutely incredible artist. I mean,
wow.
Got a degree in art. He sculpts, he carves. He's an amazing artist of stippling, which is really a difficult art to master. And he he actually has artwork in the Marine Corps Museum because he's a Vietnam vet.
Cool.
So art, but I'm the one that didn't get it in the family. My other brother's a great cartoonist. I mean, he's an amazing
Wow.
cartoonist. Me, I didn't get that, but I'm the only one that plays guitar and sings a bit.
There
So
you go.
I got that. So so what do you think? I mean, first of all, I agree with you. When I teach my identity stuff, I tell everybody, listen, God is not, if you're a creator, that means you're creative. And, you know, at the end of the age, I happen to personally think, I mean, I'm not going to teach a biblical theological position on this, but I think he's waiting for us to get to the fullness of the transformation as sons and daughters. And then the really good stuff is going to start to happen. You know, in my mind, like, I don't think he can ever stop being who he is and being a creative and an artist and all that. So what do you think are the things that get in the way or shut down a person's creativity?
Adulting, Phill. Adulting. No, I really go back to be like a child, stay like a child, stay childlike. Even for me now, I'm obviously a super happy person. This is legit. I am like this all the time.
You are.
I kind of live in this place of joy being the truly the strength inside of me. It doesn't mean everything's all giggly and happy all the time. Sometimes life really is hard, but there's this underlying joy, which means my happiness isn't fueled by the exterior. Well, that even happens as I remember that I'm a child, I'm a daughter, right? And so for me, I live with a constant atmosphere of expectancy, not for everything around me to be perfect and easy or inspire creativity, but I'm intentional with that. I wake up in the morning and I don't get out of bed. My feet don't hit the ground before I've taken time to step into a place of gratitude. I really am intentional with gratitude, but I create with God. I create my day with God. I pre-plan. I see things happening. Now, is that a prophetic thing? Is it a creative thing? Is it just a relational thing? Well, all I know is I'm excited, and I knew this meeting was going to be awesome because I was so excited about it many hours ago, laying in bed, and the joy inside of me. Well, the creativity inside of me too, knowing what we were going to be talking about, knowing that even people are going to be impacted. Like, I believe that even as we're talking about this, Phill, that people are going to, the lid that's been on top of people that has told them, whether a parent told them a long time ago, an art teacher, a music teacher, somebody, or even just a friend said, listen, you're not good at that, or you're not talented in that way. You're not as good as this person. I just believe lids are coming off. And that those lies that have kept people bound are coming off. So I know that's not what you asked, but
no, that's good. That's good.
I really believe that as we just can just be a child, and dive into the Creator's heart for you before you ever even start. I know we have to adult. I know we have to work. I know we have to do stuff. But every part of my life now, I put it all in that same box. I refuse to adult it out. I refuse to responsibility it out. In fact, the older I get, I was telling Phill, I'm turning 51 soon. How is that even possible?
You mean 38, right?
Yeah, 38. Oops. Yeah. Like, I feel like I'm getting more playful and more creative the older I get, but I have to continually be more intentional because the world around us isn't conducive for what we're talking about, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. And, you know, one of the things that when I teach all my identity stuff, when I was traveling around the nation, and I've done this in England and Great Britain and in South Africa, I always tell people a couple of things. First of all, you were a dream in the heart of God for eons before you were born. So God is a dreamer, and you're part of that dream.
Yeah.
And then the number two thing is that if you're going through life, you know, different situations, it could be the household you grew up in, the parents or whatever, if you lose your voice, when your voice gets taken from you, when you're shut down, you know, things like, I don't know if this still happens in the generations after me, but I remember hearing all the time, children should be seen and not heard,
Oh,
that kind of thing.
sure.
And well, I'm a little older than you. And like you, I just turned 67, and like you, I feel like I'm just getting started in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
But as I've taught on this and I've ministered to just thousands of people in regard to identity and finding themselves, and what I've seen consistently is when their voices were shut down as children, as teenagers, as young adults, whether it's in the school system or in the family system or whatever, their capacity to dream gets shut down. And when your capacity to dream gets shut down, your creativity is out the door, because it's your dreaming that releases your creativity. I'm a big dreamer. My wife will tell you that she would like me to dream a little smaller, because I'm a big dreamer and I'll risk out in big stuff. But my mom empowered that. My mom empowered that by telling me all the time, whatever you desire to do, whatever you want to do, you can do it. You just have to work hard for it,
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about that, because I know what you haven't shared also is that you're also a pastor. You actually care for people. You're raising up leaders. You have a kind of an apostolic gift. So I know that you're running into people whose voices have been taken from them, and you're helping them find out who they are, so that gets restored, because identity is a big part of that.
Yeah.
And I know that you are going to be relentless, almost ruthless, to give them the capacity to dream, in some cases for the first time. So tell me about what that looks like for you, helping people step into that.
Yeah. Well, here's an example of my church. Now, the fact that I feel like I got tricked into pastoring by God and the leaders around me, I tell people, don't say you're never going to do something because how that works out for you. I feel like I'm God's personal Saturday Night Live entertainment on a regular basis, as he laughs at me as I am doing the things that I said I would never do. But I remember when I first started this church, Phill, I was like, God, the only way I want to do this is if it can be fun. And I honestly hadn't heard of church being fun quite literally. And he's like, good, I think it should be fun too. And while there have been moments that haven't always been fun, I can honestly tell you my journey of pastoring and growing into this and seeing people equipped is truly the delight of my life, through the hard times and through the really awesome easy times. And here's an example. Like, I'm going to admit that I have not been a lover of prayer meetings. I have not been a lover of all night.
Wow. Really?
You could be doing all night prayer meeting. I would definitely try to find some excuses not to do it. Because honestly, I would get bored out of my mind. I felt like it was just so please.
But you do an all-night worship meeting.
Oh yeah, totally. I've done it. But it's funny. So when I was in terms of prayer and a relationship with God, so my prayer meeting in my church is called Happy Hour, as it would be. And so what I've recently started doing, in fact, I have one today, is like I have a Facebook Live, Phill, where we have happy hour, and it is where we dream together. 1 John 5:14. This is the confidence we have in approaching God, that if we ask anything according to his will, he hears us. It's Proverbs 23:7. As a man thinks in his heart, so is he. And so looking at these scriptures and going, okay, God, like, what would it look like to dream with you, to not pray down here from the pit of the need, but what if we created together and I saw the solution and I allowed gratitude to attach to it already happening. And I saw that, what is that? That's faith. It's like, right? It's like, let's see those things which are not as though they were. Even teaching people to use their kid-like imagination, again, faith, to see it as complete and pray down. Pray from that place of, I've engaged my gratitude as if it's already happened. I see my body as if it's already healed. I touch my walls every day of this house that I bought, that I co-own with the bank, as you know. And I tell it that it's all 100% mine very soon. Like I imagine what it would be like for me to be the full owner and not have a mortgage. And I imagine what it's like for divine health to be more than just a cute little Christian slogan. And so we teach each other how to imagine the solution, attach our gratitude, and even let emotions of excitement be attached to that and pray from there. And that's just that's one of the things I do to engage the creativity of us just living a life of faith. It's one of the
Yeah.
most fun things I've ever done. Can I just tell you, I've seen more miracles in my ministry since we started doing that than in all of it.
I believe it.
It's
I
been a
believe it. Yeah, because you're actually, what you're doing is you're positioning and empowering people to be the sons and daughters God made them to be.
yes.
And when you do that, faith rises up. And when faith rises up, risk comes with that. You act on faith, and then you're going to see things happen. It's that simple.
Yes, it really is that simple. And we have to remember that it is that simple. That's the thing, right? We get religiousized out of the simplicity of really what faith is. And it's not something I have to work and drum up. It's already in me. Like Jesus is the author and finisher of my faith.
That's right.
I just get to apply the techniques. And for me, I like to do it fun. So prayer looks like happy hour for this girl. And
you like to do, I would never have thought you'd like to do things fun.
you're right. Can you imagine?
I know you're so serious all the time. But you know what? One of the things I do love about you, because I've seen you talk to people, I've seen you talk with people that you lead. The times that I've been at Global Celebration when you were still there, and there's still a wisdom and a accountability that goes with you. You're not just like this flaky, happy person. There's also like, no, I'm calling you higher, which means there's accountability, there's responsibility. And I really love the way you balance that. So, I mean, we're running out of time. We're going to have to definitely do this again.
We have to do this again.
I know we have to do it again. But I had the one question that I kind of highlighted, if you remember, is how does creativity make God known as creator, father, friend, loving Lord, king, bridegroom, the whole thing? How does this come together in a way that it becomes a testimony of Jesus? Because I really do believe that for a believer, when we create, should be a spirit of prophecy almost on it, something that's a testimony of Jesus. Yeah. So how does that happen, in your experience?
Yeah, I agree 100% with what you said. To me, this is one of the greatest evangelistic tools that we have, because when I'm actually creating with God, if I'm functioning in the way that he called me to be, and all of us, again, we are all the house of design for the creator, right? When we're doing that, the world is going to see, first of all, they're going to see a joy. They're going to see a freedom. There's a reason why he said, stay like a child, because there is such joy and freedom. And the fact is that when we're doing that, I mean, right now, I'm sorry, but what does the world see a lot from Christians? You see a lot of fighting and bickering and this side and that side. But what happens when we keep our focus on him, our heart, knowing I was created for one purpose. I was created actually not to worship him, not to evangelize, not to be no, I was actually created to be the recipient of his love. I was created to be loved by God. And he knew that from that place of pure love, I would worship. I would evangelize. I would create with him. And so as we know, like you, this brilliant teacher of identity, as we really step into that place of our identity and take the risks to create with God for business, to create with God in art, in music, in all the things, and not just be stuck in the little boxes that we've seen it done forever. There's a new sound. There is a new song. There is a new color, a new texture, a new business idea. And frankly, the world is dying for they're looking for solutions. I love watching things like Shark Tank and looking at these entrepreneurs who take a risk and do crazy big stuff. And I'm like, God, where are the spirit-filled believers who are using their creativity to create with you and actually impact the world? Well, I think we're seeing more and more of them over and over again. And that excites me. But it's time for you to step up. Like, guys, whoever's listening to this, like, let the creative nature of God in you. And I hear a lot of entrepreneurs say, if you're waiting to do it perfect, if you're waiting to have all your stuff together, no, like, be the creator inside of you right now. Let it even be messy. You know, sometimes the world needs to see us be a little messy in it, but they'll see the love, they'll see your identity. And trust me, that's how you introduce them to God. So
Yeah. That's really good. You know, my favorite theologian, Dr. Michael Heiser, he says that we were created, you know, with this whole thing around the Imago Dei, right? You know, being made in the image of God.
yeah.
He likes to say we're imagers of God,
Yes.
which
Yes.
means that we are to function within our sphere, you know, as him, like an extension of who he is. And, you know, what I love about that is he's a creator. He's creative. So we should be creative.
Yeah.
You know, that should be just part of who we are. You know, creativity, whether it's problem solving, words of wisdom is problem solving. It's creativity,
Yes.
you know? So yeah, I really love that. And it's funny, you were saying before about getting up in the morning and what you're thinking and about, I was just before my prayer time, you know, just praying and seeing, you know, the 1.5 acres our building is on.
Come on.
And all the other buildings there that I showed you when I was there, that I want to make that a campus 50 feet from the train station, right? Get off the Long Island Railroad, walk across the street, but a whole campus. And I just started this morning to say, okay, Lord, I'm ready. Bring the resources, bring the people, bring whatever it is. Let's get it done, you know?
Yeah.
And it requires that faith, but it, like you said, it's the Holy Spirit. It's the faith of God.
Yeah.
It's the faith of God that moves the mountains. It's the faith of God that creates the miracles. And faith is part of Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
He's not doubting anything. It's what's between our ears that gets in the way of things, you know?
Yeah.
So that was so good. We're definitely going to do this again.
Please.
You know, probably right before we do Inspired Creatives, we'll do it again. And, you know, I love the fact that I have you on this week, and that next week I have our dear mutual friend Georgian on.
Oh God,
who's the most unique individual on the planet. I think he's cut from a completely different cloth, you know. But as I've gotten to know him, he's so genuine, so authentic, you know. What you see is what you get. And I've just watched him interact with strangers in the most beautiful, brilliant way.
Totally.
And he's so artsy, right? I mean, he's so kind of out there, you know, in certain ways in terms of the artsy Eastern European look. But I've just watched people just walk up to him and have conversations with him. And he's so graceful and grace-filled and, you know, loving. So we're going to talk next week about the supernatural power of joy.
Come on.
Yeah. And you carry that. You've got that. I don't know if you had it before you met Georgian or you got it after you had Georgian, but you both carry that.
Awesome.
And so that's going to be fun for the holidays right before Christmas. Awesome. You know, break through the depression of the holidays that people feel and with COVID, and just talk about the supernatural power of joy.
That's so amazing.
Yeah. We have to do it sometime. If we can get maybe you both on at the same time, that would be awesome.
A blast.
We'll have to do an hour though. Well, it has to be an hour show. And I know YouTubers don't like it when it's that long. We're already longer than they like.
Yeah,
but
that would be so fun for sure.
It would be fun. It would be fun. We'll have to do that sometime later in the year. So listen, sis, I love you. It's been so good to connect with you. This was great. We are definitely going to do it again. I'll shoot you an email and we'll pick another time to do it because I feel like we just scratched the surface, you know?
Yeah.
And it will be good. Hang on. I'm going to take you out of the studio and then we can say goodbye. Okay.
Guys, good to see
say
you.
Goodbye to everybody.
Hey, bless you. And truly, this is the perfect day to take the lid off. This is the perfect day to be the creative genius that I know beyond a shadow of a doubt you are. So today is it. Like tagging you in.
That's good. See you in a minute. So great. Wasn't that great? Aaron Horton is amazing. I'm just so thrilled to have her with us today. If you have any questions, you can go to our YouTube channel. This will be up on next Wednesday, the 15th. You can post comments in there. You can email us at Kingdom Convergence. You can check out the school, the Convergence School of Ministry. Remember, January 8th, we're going to have a big regional prayer night. Everything that we do in our equipping center is set up for online as well. We have a good camera system, so every single event that we do, you can actually watch us online. So go onto our website, register for things. We keep everything really inexpensive so that everybody, the most people can participate. We really don't make any money on our events. That's a whole nother story at Walk of Faith right there. But God has been so good to us. So Kingdom Convergence, Convergence Equipping Center, Amityville, New York. Every single month we have a conference, an equipping conference with guest speakers. Sometimes I do it, but mostly I don't. And KC Conversations every Wednesday night at 7:30. God bless you guys. Thanks for joining us. Have a great week.